Hey, welcome back. Chris Lotz with the Pet Lotz Real Estate Group. Thanks for tuning in to another YouTube video. And this is probably the first one of 2024. Happy New Year.
Merry New Year!
Happy New Year.
We're looking forward to a phenomenal year ahead of us. Today we're talking about Brighton, Michigan, a nice small town, one of the focal points here in Livingston County. And we're talking about pros and cons.
Okay, pros and cons.
With any home, with any city, with any town, there's always going to be that give and take of what goes into what we're looking for, some of those positives, some of those negatives. So we want to give as much content as possible to Brighton, Michigan, to see if this is even something that's going to fit your family's needs, and it's going to be a great fit for your next move. Not every single person knows about Livingston County, even the individuals that live in Oakland County, Wayne County. So this is exactly for those individuals, someone that's seeking more information about this community and some of those pros and cons about living here specifically in Brighton, Michigan. So let's dive right into it. Pros, number one, small town charm with big city amenities. Brighton boasts a vibrant downtown with unique shops, delicious restaurants, and cozy cafes. It's like taking a step back in time.
Time travel.
But with modern conveniences just a hop, skip, and jump away. Think art galleries, breweries, and abundance of small boutique shops and businesses. We even have a mountain.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that, aka Mount Brighton. We'll talk about that in the next one, Nature Wonderland, but small town charm. Pat grew up here in 1965. I grew up in Pinckney in 1991, and Brighton's grown a lot, but I don't think it's ever lost that downtown charm or that small business charm, that small community charm where everyone knows of you. It's a very a small focal sense of community and an emphasis on that. And you still get a lot of that not hustle bustle city atmosphere here in Brighton. Again, we are growing. So you still get a lot of those amenities. You're never going to sacrifice on the accessibility to amenities, but you might sacrifice in some capacity when it comes to certain stores, certain restaurants. But no, it's a massive positive to get a lot of that old school small town charm, but not sacrificing on the amenities that you're looking for here in a community, whether it be grocery stores, restaurants, shops, movie theaters, outdoor entertainment, things like that. Number two, Nature Wonderland. Calling all outdoor enthusiasts, Brighton is surrounded by stunning natural beauty.
Stunning.
Hike, bike through Kensington Metro Park. There are diverse trails, kayak, and serene lakes. Or winter months, you can always cross-country ski. Nature lovers rejoice, and don't forget Brighton State Rec and the river access at Huron Meadows. So Nature Wonderland. I have always said I think that Livingston County is spoiled with the amount of outdoor accessibility and nature parks that we actually have. There's a laundry list of them for Livingston County as a whole, but Brighton specifically, the accessibility to Kensington Metro Park, Island State Rec, and Brighton State Rec. We are spoiled. We are blessed. Those do not exist in a lot of other surrounding communities. So the fact that Brighton is so centrally located, but then also has the accessibility to a lot of those nature or outdoor activity amenities, it is absolutely priceless. I grew up running pretty consistently a lot of these metro parks and state parks, but specifically Brighton State Park. We ran the Blue Trail and the Yellow Trail, I believe, consistently week to week. That is a massive feature and benefit to this community. So if you're looking to move here or you're in this community, definitely take advantage of that. 3, strong sense of community. Brighton residents are known for their friendly and welcoming nature. You find a strong sense of community here with plenty of events and festivals throughout the year to connect with your neighbors. I touched on it in point 1. I think that Livingston County is no different than the Midwest. We are very, very Midwest in terms of community. Help thy neighbor, be very friendly. And that's a massive benefit to being here in Livingston County. You get a lot of that friendly feel versus some of the transplants in the Waynes, the Oaklands, the Washington counties. Predominantly, a lot of the residents here in Livingston County are still very, very much as a Midwest culture. And that's why a lot of people tend to move to the Midwest, is they are looking for that charm without the Southern feel. They are looking for that Midwestern hospitality, and it's apparent and abundant here. And not even just from a community aspect, but even like a business aspect. The collaboration and contribution to our downtown community here in Brighton on Main Street from a business to business standpoint and a customer to business standpoint is priceless. And I think it's a lot of why businesses lay roots here and why the community lays roots here. Top rated schools, Brighton boasts excellent public schools and private schools, making it a fantastic choice for families. Your kids will get a quality education in a safe and nurturing environment. It's definitely up for topic these days when it comes to public schools or school options for kids, but you cannot talk about living in Brighton without bringing up the schools. And don't get me wrong, Livingston County as a whole is definitely top tier. From a statistical standpoint across the state, we are always top percentile, and that's all of the schools aside. But when you start to compare us as a whole, Brighton has been award winning for 3 decades now, and I think it'll continue to be. It's one of the larger schools. It's one of the schools that has the most funding from a tax standpoint. Academics are phenomenal, and that's not going anywhere. The desirability and the competition to get kids into Brighton schools, whether it's within this community as a whole, and you tend to see that when it comes to property values. What exists here in Brighton and the premium that people are putting on that home to be in a Brighton school district versus a Pinckney, Fowlerville, or Howell is 2 different things. Versus a school of choice option, it is now getting that much more competitive. Historically, there was better opportunities, but right now it is so competitive, and actually they're turning down a lot of kids for the school of choice. So don't bank on that. If you want your kids in a phenomenal school district, Brighton specifically, you're going to have to be in those school districts, and it's competitive and it's pricey to be a part of that. 5, convenient location. Brighton is situated just 45 minutes from Detroit and Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor's probably closer, probably 25, 35 minutes, depending on traffic on 23, offering easy access to big city attractions, job opportunities, while still enjoying the peace and quiet of a small town. Spot on.
Spot on.
But your accessibility, it is at the point of 96, the corner of 96 and 23. I've heard it many, many times, and I agree with it. It is probably by far one of the most convenient places to live in all of Southeast Michigan. 45 to an hour from downtown Detroit, 25 to 35 from downtown Ann Arbor, 35 to 45 commute to DTW, Detroit Metro Airport. So you will never sacrifice on a rural setting. And when I say rural, it's a little bit more bang for your buck, property, square footage, yard sizes, but you're still not compromising in terms of the conveniences of still being close to jobs, big city attractions, airport, and larger communities that have different amenities. So you'll never sacrifice choosing to be in Brighton based on how conveniently it's located to our surrounding area. So with pros, there's definitely some cons. Con number 1 would be a limited job market. While Brighton has its share of businesses and job opportunities, the specialized fields can be limited. Commuting to Detroit and Ann Arbor might be necessary for certain careers. Growing up, I grew up in Pinckney, and I actually do not recall too many parents working locally. And I'm talking about even Brighton as well. You're going to have small businesses. It's starting to grow from a commercial setting. Corporations, smaller businesses, but still corporations coming here and laying roots here, probably for space, square footage, tax dollars. But a lot of those specialized fields, whether it's healthcare, IT, you're definitely going to have to get in the car and drive. When I graduated from college, I was still living in Pinckney. I drove an hour one way to Troy, Michigan, and it's not the most convenient place to get to from Pinckney to Troy because of all the different highways, 96, 696 to 75, and maybe even some back roads in there. So, and the expectation needs to be set. If you want the small town charm, if you want the lower tax dollars, if you want the friendly community, there's going to be a little sacrifice. We're still very, very conveniently located, but you will have a further commute than something that is in Oakland County or Wayne County or these larger metro areas. Instead of 5 to 15 minutes, now we're talking you might be driving 35 to an hour. But for that little sacrifice to be out here in this community, the nature, the lakes, I think that's a small price to pay. Number 2, higher cost of living. Compared to other parts of Michigan, Brighton housing costs and overall living expenses tend to be on the higher side. Factor this in when budgeting for your Brighton life. Think taxes, and we are a rural community, so certain things are harder to come by and access. higher cost of living. So what exists from an average standpoint, and I think your average product here in Brighton is going to be somewhere between $375 and $425. If we have a $400,000 product, you take that $400,000 product and you put it into Ann Arbor, it's $800,000. If you take that $400,000 product and you put it into Livonia, we're talking about $325,000. If you take that same product and you put it into a Redford, we're talking about $285,000. So cost of living from a purchase standpoint will be higher. One, because we've run out of room. We've run out of square footage. Now we're starting to see other communities, Heartland, Howland, Pinckney, Fowlerville, start to really prosper and grow because they have that space, because they have the land and they have the potentials for those developments. So Brighton tends to max out because of those things: schools, the convenience, and supply and demand. There's not any more homes going up from the desirable location of what Brighton entails. So your cost of living is going to be higher. And then from a tax dollar standpoint, if you're in the municipality, the city itself, yes, you're going to have those taxes for sewer and city water. If you're in the rural communities of Brighton or the townships, Green Oak, Hamburg, Brighton, Genoa, your taxes are going to be pretty relatively inexpensive compared to the Oaklands and the Waynes. And it's because of the city amenities. We might not have as many of those city amenities, keeping our millage rates just a little bit more affordable, but from a purchase price, it will be more expensive. 3, limited nightlife. If you're a night owl who craves a vibrant nightlife, Brighton might not be for you. The town quiets down after dark, 10, 11 p.m., with options mostly limited to local bars and pubs, which is not a bad thing. But historically, and I lived in DC and I lived in Chicago, and those cities never sleep.
That's right. The city that never sleeps.
But for the most part, this community will quiet down sooner. So if you're looking for the not clubs, but later clubs and bars, the true downtown city atmosphere, it's not going to be for you. We still have great accessibility to those communities, whether it be downtown, Royal Oak, or Ann Arbor, but the town is definitely going to quiet down around 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and then smaller pubs and smaller bars are those only other options, whether it be Friday and Saturday nights. 4, limited public transportation. Getting around Brighton mainly relies on your personal vehicle. Public transportation's options are limited, especially compared to bigger cities. We don't have trains. We don't have standardized buses. We don't have kind of what you're looking for standardized public transportation.
That's just a car.
That's a positive thing in regards to maybe tax dollars. We do have lower expenses or lower millage rates because of not having those amenities. But I think everyone out here in Livingston County, Brighton specifically, if you're traveling, you are traveling by your personal vehicle and your personal vehicle alone. We do have a Let's bus, but I think that is a call on demand. Don't quote me. That might be for handicap, elderly, and people with accessibility issues. 5, winters can be brutal. Michigan winters are no joke, and Brighton gets its fair share of snow and freezing temperatures. Be prepared for cozy nights, snow days, and potentially challenging commutes. We live in the Midwest. Surprise, surprise. The weather is always a part of the topic of conversation when it comes to cons or drawbacks when living in this community. The Midwest is not for everybody. The Northeast is not for everybody. But if you plan to move here from other communities, whether it be the South or warmer climates, expect to have snow, colder temperatures for 6 months out of the year.
Winter is coming.
So to recap, we'll run through it again one more time. Pros, small town charm with big city amenities. You're never going to sacrifice on that for the most part. 2, nature wonderland, great outdoors. 3, a great strong sense of community. 4, top rated schools. 5, convenient location here in Southeast Michigan. Cons, there's going to be a limited job market. 2, the higher cost of living from a purchase price standpoint will come into play. 3, definitely have limited nightlife. 4, limited public transportation. And 5, the winters can be brutal. So there it is. Thanks for tuning in to this video about Brighton pros and cons. Hopefully that answered a lot of questions for you if you're outside of this community and you're looking to move to Livingston County. If you have any more questions or we want to go in further pros and cons, drop it in a comment below. We're more than happy to help and expand on some of these ideas. And better yet, shoot us a call, shoot us a text. We're here to help in any form or fashion. But don't take my word for it. Continue to do your research. Reach out to family and friends or people here locally in this community and check out the next video that we're dropping. It's going to be a cost of living, an in-depth cost of living for here in Brighton Township. And we're talking about groceries, restaurants, taxes, your standard mortgage payments, rent payments, cost of purchasing a home, cost of renting a home, so on and so forth. But until then, there's lots of love in Livingston County. Drop a comment, drop a like, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.